Welcome to the stream, everybody. My name is Vegas Postman. I just want to say thank you for joining me with this inaugural stream here. We are launching the channel officially. I've decided to play some Star Citizen, not only because, I think some things need to be cleared up with the game, but like me, it is a work in progress. So I find it to be a little bit appropriate. And thank you for joining us on this journey. So let's get into the game. I just recently got this game over Christmas in 2025. I've been playing for a couple weeks now, and I really enjoy it. I think the game is getting a lot of bad press that really it shouldn't be getting. It is a good game. As a matter of fact, it's everything that I wanted Starfield to be, but Star Citizen is. Um, the gameplay is much more complex, but in that complexity is the beauty. Um, it's hard to explain because when you wanted Starfield to play, you wanted to be able to get the immersion, and I feel almost like with all of the load screens and everything that happens in Starfield, it really removes you from that immersion. And there's never really a point where I'm really into it. I mean, I can enjoy the gunplay, and I definitely enjoyed the shipbuilding aspect, and something like that. But it just didn't grab me. Whereas I'm playing this game, it gets me. That from taking off to the inventory system to the landing, and now we're going to be having crafting coming soon. You have inventory management and fuel management, and everything is physicalized in the world. It's not just, go into a space and you have a loading screen and then you're there and then, oh, well, I forgot something, so let me go back out that door. And oh my God, now I have another loading screen. You're kidding me, right? I was just there. Another thing that I think that Starfield really failed at, and I think this is the major thing, at least for me, is it's not multiplayer. I can't invite friends on my journey or build this really cool place and have everybody hang out there for a little bit, or give them a tour of my ship and go do missions together, and whether they be first person or cargo runs, or those are the things that, I'm sorry, even when Starfield 2.0 comes out, it's just not going to be successful. That is its downfall. So with this game being an MMO, it has the multiplayer aspects. It has the orgs, which would be a guild. It has the ability to invite people into gameplay or just go off into the verse and do your own thing. And I think that's really important in a game to, it has to fit a wide variety of roles and do them well. And for me, this game does that. I hear a lot of, oh, the game has raised over $900 million. It's never coming out. It's, well, why should that be a slant on the game? Doesn't that show that, the player base in the game respect the game? And, does it have bugs? Yeah. Does it occasionally hard crash? Yeah. But it is still an alpha. And especially now with Squadron 42 coming out around the corner here in 2026, that's going to bring a lot of fresh new faces into this side of it, because, what CIG is doing with Squadron 42 being their single player, experience, story driven, and Star Citizen is going to be their MMO side, living world, and everything matters. What you do, you have life skills, and you can be a cargo runner, or be a bounty hunter or a mercenary, or run medical missions and do nothing but go out into the verse and heal players that have been downed. It just fits everything, and I truly enjoy the game, and for the buy-in cost of the game, yeah, some of the ships can get expensive, absolutely, but your cheapest ships are like $40 or $45 to buy into the game. You can buy more expensive ones. So, you know, the ship I bought initially, my starter ship, is the Avenger Titan, and I bought that because it's almost like a jack of all trades. It can do a little bit of cargo, it can hold its own in ship PvE or PvP, and it gets me around the verse. Well, I quickly realized after playing the game the direction that I want to go in what my life skills are going to be and what my what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be doing mainly cargo hauling with some mining on the side. So I pledged to the store to get the new release of the RSI Hermes, and that's going to fill that role for me. So when the game does come to 1.0, I'm there and I'm ready to, actually engage in the content that I want to engage in. Because when 1.0 comes, there's going to be, a system wipe, so you're able to retain all of your pledge ships, but all the ships that you purchase with in-game cash, and you can purchase them all eventually. Like this new ship is only available, the Hermes is only available with actual real money, but you'll be able to buy it with in-game credit. So once that system has been planted and laid, there's going to be no more wipes, and you'll have, a persistent inventory system, whether it be ships and guns and items that you're using in crafting that you've gotten through mining, and your rankings and things like that. So that was my main thing, because I realized I do truly enjoy this game, and I am going to be playing it long term, and to me it's well worth it for me to get that ship. So let's jump into the verse here and we'll get started. If you do enjoy the game or you're liking the content, maybe my commentary, give me a like and subscribe. If you don't, then don't. It's okay. A little bit of background. I've been playing video games for a little over 35 years. I started with the Atari 2600 with Pong and Cubert and Frogger and all those very rudimentary games for entertainment. So I've seen not only the length and the visual fidelity and the complexity of the games increase through the years. So I really enjoy. I am a gamer, and I will be lifelong. It doesn't matter 30 years from now, I'll still be a gamer. It's nice to get out of work. All the responsibilities are complete, and just dive off into a world that someone else created that you still have control over. And that's what games are. They're they're living stories, living interactive books. So all right, we are starting up. This is my small hangar, so I do have the, like I said, the Titan Avenger. If you are looking at getting a ship, I would highly recommend getting the Titan Avenger. Or the Intrepid. The Intrepid is very similar. They both carry 8 SCU of cargo, so you're going to be able to start out with those smaller cargo runs, and you're going to be able to get your gameplay up and making money and getting used to the game, and the controls and the keybinds and everything like that. So the keybinds are very complex on a mouse and keyboard. The game does support controller, so that is an option if you want to play with the controller. Not all functions are specifically set up for the controller. They do give you a legend in game for the controller, but even though it's representative of what they want the buttons to be, they are not implemented. So about 60% of them are. So if you do want to use a controller, you can go into the the keybind settings or the controller settings, excuse me, and just remap your controller, and the game is playable. I just recently becoming a PC gamer. I just got this PC in November, so it's about 2 months or so. I'm just trying to switch myself over to having the comfort level with a mouse and keyboard. So as you can see, the worlds are fully actualized. These cities are absolutely massive, and there's multiple systems. We're in Stanton's system right now, and it has planets and moons and space stations and things like that. Here, actually, let me bring it up, and I'll just give you a quick look. So this is your Moby Glass. You enter it by hitting F1, and it runs through everything from your health to, what the atmosphere is, what contracts you want to do, communications, finding your friends, how much money you have, what kind of vehicles you have. So if you go into the maps here, and I'll just show you. So we are here on the planet of Microtech in New Babbage. That is my starting spawn. And as you zoom out, you can see, the various minings. This is the moon, Calliope, Clio. And if we keep zooming out, now we're bringing even more things out. We're bringing more space stations and more things. And we keep zooming out, and now this is Stanton as a whole. So you can go to each one of these planets. Now these gateways here, this would be Pyro, so that'll be another system. And then this is the Nix system, so that will be another gateway. But there are massive worlds, planets, bases, things for you to discover. I mean, it's really great to have a game that fits that exploration that I've so wanted. So you know what? Let's go to the commons here. I think I need to pick up some more ammo for my assault rifle. So we'll head over to the commons. And these are all players in here too. And the tram system will take us over to the shopping district, the commons. There's quite frequently in, each planet or space station, shopping, because sustenance is the thing in this game, considering it's an MMO. So, you can see in the lower left-hand corner, I have my, my hydration and my nutrition. So you will need to keep an eye on those. So Microtech is a frozen planet. Different planets and moons obviously have different biomes, and the game is, it's gorgeously done. So there's the global chat you can see over on the left. People are really, really friendly in this game. If you have a question about something, just type it into global chat. Or, if you don't want to see global chat, just hit F12 and boom, it's gone.
The capsule will be in the station.
Let's go to the commons and pick up some ammo. And we'll come back and take off and do some missions, and you can see more of the gameplay. But as you can see, the game is, visually, it's absolutely stunning. They do a very good job of conveying, weight and scale and size, and it's really, really good. These terminals here, you're going to see them in all of the systems and around. These are all individualized. So this inventory that I have on the left is me and what's in my backpack. And all these storage areas on the right is going to be the actual location of New Babbage, where I'm at now, and certain pieces of gear and weapons and paint schemes and things like that. So if I leave this area and go to, let's just say, Lorville, which is another planet, none of this is going to be here. So you have the ability to save things at different locations. So considering this is my main planet, where if I were to happen to die, I would respawn here. It's where I keep right now, since I haven't been playing the game You know, I'm no pro, but I'm just starting to amass certain things here. Like I just recently, like I said, purchased the RSI Hermes. Last night I ran out, did some errands, picked up a small mining piece of equipment. That way I can load that onto my vehicle and.
Hey there.
So being in the in the district. Oh, it's snowing out there. And the weather's dynamic and all of that, so. I mean, they just the spaces they've created in this game are just amazing looking. You can go into third person here, and they do have a free look. So that is my character. And you can also remove, take your helmet off. Food and beverage, I don't need that. Maybe I can buy some weapons down this way.
I try not to let it get to me.
There is personal clothing to wear, so if you're in here and the atmosphere is okay, you can just wear standard clothing, or just stay in your spacesuit.
Hey.
And your armor has 3 different levels, light, medium, and heavy, and they do multiple things. One is damage mitigation. Obviously, the heavier armor is better at damage mitigation and temperature protection. Those are things in this game. So, hey, I don't think I can. I don't see any place to buy weaponry. Let's try up this way. If not, we'll leave and we'll head back. Nope. Commons, food and drink, and everything in here is also labeled as far as what you would see in the real world if you were walking around a mall or out on the streets. And there's no dummy mechanics here where they just put this huge line on the floor and you mindlessly follow the line. No, you literally have to pay attention, to what your surroundings are, and read the shops and read the signs and get familiar with the verse. It's not.
I've been waiting for my ship to get replaced for 3 days now. Can you stop telling me something?
Like I said, that's what really got me. The first time I played this game, I was like, oh, this thing hit a sweet spot. This is good. And I'm sure everybody's heard the rumors, scam citizen, or it's not. Obviously, you can see it's not. It's not. And part of the reason that the game has been in development for 12 years is, I think at least 2 of those years were absorbed because this game started off on the Cry engine, for Crysis and Crytek, and they outgrew that engine, so there was litigation to where they could physically ensure that they could build upon that engine and it would be their own. So, after 2 years of that litigation, and there was, how long did COVID set them back? What, maybe another 2 years? So you can immediately knock 4 years of development time, serious development time off of this, because from what I've seen since I've joined it in 4.5, we're now in 4.6. In the short span that I've been playing it, there's been vast improvements in the game. They're going to be reworking the inventory system, which is this system. So instead of it being, on your character where you're looking at items, they're going to have the small tabs in 1, 2, and 3, and then what's in your backpack, and these things will stay similar, but you'll be able to see how many med pens you have, and what's your pyro tool, what hip is it on, and all those things. So it's just small improvements that are that are being done to make sure that when the game does launch, as far as Squadron 42 is concerned, everything is clean, everything is done, everything works. They just had a developer discussion about how they're going to be changing the transit system and the transport, so that will include everything that is not controlled by the player. So if you're in an elevator, or you're in a screen where you have to bring an object up, or you're going here, like say to the metro loop, and things like that, then they're going to clean that system up, because the system that they have taking that now worked well for the beginning of the game, but obviously the game goes through iterations and they want to improve upon it, and there's been glitching where people have glitched through the floor of one of the trains, and I mean, things like that happen during development time. But the game is absolutely going to be coming out. I mean, I would say just after, if I were to guess, this is pure speculation, after Squadron 42 releases, and that's going to bring a large influx of eyeballs, into the game. So, then, they will be launching the 1.0 version for the Star Citizen side, and then they'll continue to build on it from there, because they have a few more systems, that they're very open about, and they discuss very freely on what they're doing. There's no hiding. It's actually quite refreshing when a developer stream comes and they're openly talking about things. So that's something you don't really get often. A lot of developers will, they'll flat out lie to you. All right. And some people may not find these gameplay loops exciting. I do. I find this realism to be absolutely fantastic. Like I said, it's everything I was hoping Starfield was going to be, and it just didn't pan out. I'm not saying that it's not a good game and people can't like it and they can't play it and be, perfectly happy with it. But for me, it just didn't fulfill what I wanted out of, a space simulator, and the interaction and the,
Stand clear of disembarking passengers.
the multiplayer aspect, the MMO side, it was, for me, it's, like the light version of this game, which in itself is fine. This is a complex game. Cruising. The little gas station corner store right place. Should be right here. Yep, there it is. Kelto. So if you do decide to play the game, you can come to any one of these Kelto stores, and they have food and your med pens. This gray cat tool is very very important, along with the tractor beam that allows you to move cargo. There's also a mining attachment for this small gun. Then you can pick up weapons, food items. You know, all these are purchasable. They give you different, you know, hydration levels or nutrition levels. But you can also come to this right here, and we'll go to personal weapons, P4 AR mag. I'm going to buy a couple of these. I did some bunker missions last night and chewed through some ammo.
Smart buy.
So I think all I have equipped on me now is all I have. So I like keeping, you know, a couple magazines in the old backpack. So after you purchase something, it doesn't immediately go to your backpack. You have to go to one of these terminals, and as you'll see, it'll bring up my storage again. And then you just, you know, you find them, and you drag them over into your inventory. And the items are stackable. There is weight limits and things like that, but it's not punishing like Starfield is at all. You know, if you're running out and you're looting, you can get quite a few things to, you know, to carry. You can see I have, you know, quite a bit of food and drink, along with the magazines, some extra guns, extra equipment I might need, and the backpack is only at 24%. And then my legs and my core armor are at 0. And so you can store, you know, med pens and other things in here. And then I have spare suits and equipment items. Alright. Cool. Let's hit the Metro Loop. We'll go to the bay. We'll go to the hangar, and let's go do a mission. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I really wanted to start streaming because, you know, now that I'm on PC, you know, I just want to start a channel. I enjoy gaming. I've always enjoyed gaming. You know, the conversation. So hopefully, you know, you enjoy the conversation. We can have laughs. We can, you know, talk about multiple things. Because obviously, considering this is my, you know, first stream, it's not like I'm getting hundreds of viewers, or, you know, I may not get any. No one may watch my content, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I do have to say, this is not going to be a how-to or a best tips or this is the meta, or I don't enjoy that content myself, and I will never make it because I feel it's up to the player to choose their own destiny and figure out the game. That is the game. Why would you immediately want to skip over, you know, a large portion of content, you know, only to, you know, run past an area to go find the best gun instead of just seeing what's out there, you know, and playing the game. And you'll eventually get it. You will. Trust me, though. You know, the most important thing in a game is initially just learning the mechanics of it. You know, if you want to watch a video on keybinds and, you know, a starter video, which I do have to say, a content creator by the name of Ridge6 has a fantastic video. It's about an hour long that will give you a solid breakdown on, you know, FPS side and the ship side, and, you know, what flight, what's, you know, strafe, and, you know, elevation, descent, and, you know, it'll give you a good breakdown. So I could definitely recommend one of those. But if anybody has any questions in chat, I'll, you know, obviously I would answer those. You know, I'm not going to, you know, not answer questions or things like that. I'm just not going to be making content that, you know, that is, you know, specific for, you know, putting out game metas or things like that. It's basically a hangout session. A good hangout session. Let me go to the NVIS terminal. So we'll start out with something nice and easy tonight. We'll do a cargo mission just so you can get, you know, get a feel for it. Somebody start shooting in here?
Tired of travel? Why not rest at the best newly renovated accommodation?
No, and then there are other corner stores. You could buy a plushie, you know, put it in your vehicle, whatever. You know, and they have drinks and food and things like that in here too. There are habs, so you know, to you know, for health and things like that. Here's this way. Moby glass first, because I want to make sure that one of my ships has its proper livery on it.
Where creative innovation meets innovative creativity.
Sunny Hermes. Okay, we are rocking the disco.
Remember, your belongings belong to you.
Welcome
Keep a
to
careful
the
watch
ASOP
over
vehicle
your
retrieval system. Vehicle selected. Stand by. Your vehicle has been. Please visit us again.
When we first started, you saw my, you know, the small hangar. This is the large hangar. Turning the lights on. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to, you know what? Actually, I'm going to keep that ammo on me. Might as well.
Welcome to the
Open up the
ASOP
terminal.
vehicle retrieval
Let's-
system. Your insurance claim has been sent. Thank you.
I wonder why there's an insurance claim. I parked it perfectly fine here last night. So, if the game detects that your ship has been lost or destroyed, you have to file a claim with it. You carry insurance in this game, and that's what that is.
Please visit us again.
So when you buy an initial pledge package, you're going to have insurance on it, but that's deceiving. Do not buy a ship because it has a different insurance plan, like say lifetime insurance, which the Hermes has. My starter ship has 3-month insurance. Insurance is only going to be taking effect once it's in 1.0, and then you'll just have to pay a nominal in-game fee. Not real money, and just like real life, you'll use the currency in the game and maintain insurance on your ship. So if you blow it up or mess it up or somebody shoots you down, you can file a claim like I just did, and then it'll be delivered to your hangar. But like I said, if you purchase a starter ship, $60 buy-in to the game, because the ship that you hold, you also have to have a package. It'll be called a starter package, so it will give you the game and the ship, and you have to maintain the package for the game. You can't, like, if I were to melt down a ship that was tied to the package of actually allowing me to download the game, if I melt that down and say I want to put that money into a larger ship, I would have to make sure that that new ship that I want to melt the old ship down and use the actual real world dollars in. I would have to ensure that the new package maintains the rights for me to play the game. So just be very careful. It tells you that when you're actually in the screens and you're looking at upgrading ships, and maybe you bought a $60 ship, and there's a $110 ship. I really want the Cutlass Black, and you've been playing the game, and you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to stick with it. Well, you can put that initial money, into the Cutlass Black, so then you just pay the difference. And another thing with the game is, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, not on pledge ships, but on your initial package. So if at any point that you don't enjoy this game, you don't want to play it, you do not like it for any reason, doesn't matter if you played 5 hours, 10 hours, 50 hours, if you're within that 30 days, you get your money back 100%. You wipe your hands of it, say, okay, I gave it a try, but I can almost guarantee that you won't.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System. Please visit us again. Welcome.
See, that was a glitch right there. Like, it wouldn't allow me to select it. Those are the kind of bugs that we're talking about in the game. It's not, it's not anything super crazy. So the smaller ships are much less complex. They have less componentry. You do have to maintain cooling and, your jump drives and shield generators and things like that. So, now that I'm into a larger ship, those are a thing that I have to maintain, which is, again, another aspect of the game I want. So this being the RSI Hermes, it has 288 SCU of cargo. Which is a tremendous amount of cargo on grid here on the left and right, you'll see. That'll hold 288 SCUs. There is the ability to pack in cargo off grid. You'll see on the far left and right hand sides, and down the center lane, you can also pack more cargo in there. So I think I've seen people pack upwards of 500 SCUs. So also in the ship here, another reason I bought it is because I want friends to, enjoy the game with me and play. If people, that I meet over time or I game with on a regular basis, and we can all just jump in and go do some sorties or go do some missions. But this would be a suit locker, so there's one here and then directly mirrored on the other side. That way I can hold 2 full suits. So, if an individual happens to not be wearing appropriate armor, and say they want heavy armor, that's what I'll put in there. And then it has gun racks also, and this is duplicated on the other side also. You'll see here's the gun rack, so you can fit small, like the tractor beams and things like that, and then 3 rifles here, and then 3 handguns. And the same thing is duplicated on the other side. So there also is fire in the game, so, having fire extinguishers is a real thing. The ship will catch on fire. You will need to do some maintenance on it. And this is where you control the tractor beam. So you'll enter it just like you would. And if we go to turret, and this is the top-mounted tractor beam that I can use to pull and move cargo within the ship. Not sure what other cargo space is on here as far as storage. Now these would be where your components are. Things that you might need to repair: your engineering station, your power plant, your coolers, radar, life support systems. And this would be your engineering terminal, which will give you an overview of your complete ship's health and problem areas that you might be coming across, So right now my shields are down because I'm parked, but it gives you the little red dots. Okay. I don't have my guns active, so those are off. Tells you what the status is. That cooling system was low. was 15%. I'm going to need to do some maintenance on that shortly. But as you can see, there's a table here, you know, for eating and dining. It does have a bathroom also. It is going to be a thing. Hygiene is going to be a thing in this game. It's probably going to give you certain buffs and things like that. You know, with a shower up there, and then boom, the throne. Take a seat, chill out. So that's the restroom. This is going to be a food station for food preparation. So instead of holding, you know, burritos and, you know, drinks and food and beverage inside of your backpack, you can just make it here. And then 2 beds for bed logging. And then also an elevator that leads down, so I don't need to always enter through the rear cargo door. But okay, let's get in the pilot seat. Sorry about the tutorial for the ship and showing you around. I just really like it. The ship really is going to fill my needs, so let's fire it up.
Welcome to Roberts Space Industries. Enjoy the work. System check.
Okay, coolers and everything are at 100%. Excellent. So my shields. Cooling is maximum. Go to our HUD. And we'll turn on, I like the advanced SCM and nav. As you can see right there, it changed the layout. It just gives you more information. Now let's request a bay door opening.
You are all clear to leave.
They do a fantastic job on this ship of letting you really feel the weight and the thrust. This livery is just killer. And liveries are microtransactions, so you do usually come with the standard paint and then one more that they give for the package, but...
Bye, and thank you for visiting New Babbage. There you are.
Thank you. Alright, let's raise our landing gear. As you can see, I'm manually taking off and controlling the ship in every way. You know, it's got everything from pitch and yaw and roll. She is a big girl, so she does move slowly. But she can handle herself if need be. She has, I believe it's 4 size 4s. 2 of them are mounted in the front and 2 of them are on the turret on the top, if you look at the top of the ship. If there's no one in the co-pilot seat, then the actual turrets are slave to the driver, to the pilot, and then if there is an individual sitting inside of the co-pilot seat, they can control those turrets, along with doing any engineering or other aspects of the game that, you know, may be needed. So once we get out of atmosphere here, we will be able to quantum jump around and bring up a mission, and we'll grab some cargo. Okay, 10 kilometers. shields. Only is maxed, so we got three units we can spare. Okay, we should be out of atmosphere now. So we'll bring up our Mobiglass here, F1 again, and we'll go down to contracts, and we'll see what we have for hauling. We'll do some planetary hauling. What is that? Oh, there we go. So we'll go to Port Tressler. You'll see the primary objective, collect aluminum. It's only going to be 6 SCUs. I can carry 288. I know it's overkill, but just for the purposes of, if anybody's interested in the game and, looking at one of the gameplay loops that are in it, known as, the cargo loop. And we'll pick it up and bring it back to the spaceport on the planet that we just left. Excellent. So we'll accept that offer. Port Tressler. Okay. So you'll notice that adds the yellow markers to, above and below us. So I'm sure once we get onto the Port Tressler right here, it's going to see how it says collect shipment. Okay, so if you hit B, that's going to bring you into your navigation mode. That's going to where you're going to be able to quantum jump in this state. Your other one is going to be your SCM, which is your combat mode that we were just in. And now once you go into your nav mode, you notice a lot of icons and places that I can, hyper jump to on the map. So that's primarily going to be used for your hyper jump. Now, when you hyper jump, it is physicalized. It is not a loading screen. You are actually traveling through the verse, and there are things going on around you. So if you have a long hyper jump that takes like a minute or so for you to get, a distance away, since we're only kilometers away here, they have kilometer, megameter, gigameter, 10 to the 6th, 10 to the 9th, respectively, in distances, based on your speed. I'm doing, right here, 100 and, 200 now, 250 meters per second. So it's not super fast when you're, in standard flight mode. But while you're in SCM mode, you do have a higher top end speed. But if we go back here if you're in nav mode, you have a higher top end speed. Whereas now I'm in combat mode, you can see that my shields have re-engaged and I'm ready for quote unquote everyday driving. So just like anything, when you're looking at a space station, the blinking lights signify the tops. So if you're trying to quote unquote orientate yourself in space, there really is no up or down. But that'll just make it easier if you're trying to park your ship and looking for the actual dock that you're going to be going into. Because you'll see right there, those are closed docks. So now that we're close enough, we can request a landing bay to open, and they'll assign us a bay, and then we can pick up our cargo.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay. Landing gear deployed.
And this is a lot of the fun for me in this game too, this right here. The actual interactions and docking and landing.
Complete, Pete. Have a pleasant stay.
And then whenever you land, always make sure to hit I and turn your engines off. I is for ignite and also to turn off your engines. And then you can actually power the ship down totally with you, but that's not always necessary. But I do it, you know, a lot of the time. And then you hold Y and get up out of your seat. What I am going to do is take off my helmet here. And I need some fluid. Only at 25% hydration. We'll store that. Leaving trash around is a thing. You can literally set a bottle in a cave and come back, and it will be there the next time you go back to that cave. So be a good citizen. Throw your trash away. Okay, let's put our helmet back on. Now, also, when you're in the Moby-Glass and you're in an atmosphere on a planet or anything, obviously we're inside, so we're safe. But you know, it's going to give you whether or not the atmosphere is breathable, what the temperature is, how many, you know, what your radiation is, you know, what the barometric pressure is, you know, and then on the right-hand side, your total health. It's very important just to pay attention to the way you would do things in normal life. You know, if the elevator. And this is where it comes into play to where you want to have your tractor beam. This is the small one. I do have a large one to carry large cargo, 32 SCUs at a time. But the small one will suffice for right now. And we're just going to move this onto the ship. So if you were to buy the initial package, and you know this is only 6 SCU or cargo, you'd be able to handle this cargo load with the Intrepid or the Avenger Titan easily. So we're gonna, now that I showed you what the small one can do, we'll bring out the big boy, and you see the reach, how much farther the reach is on this. So you know you can increase the speed at which you're hauling gear. And once you've attached your tractor to it, you just use the mouse scroll wheel. We're bringing it in and out. Fairly easy to control, obviously. Haven't even been playing this game for a month, so I'm just trying to become very proficient at cargo, because you do gain rep with each one of the factions or planets or life skills that you've chosen. So it's there's definitely a long gameplay loop to engage in. guys are enjoying the stream. I'm enjoying doing this. I just figured, why not? You know? I've had every iteration of every console there ever was, you know. I've had Atari 2600, ColecoVision, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, you know, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox. I currently have a Series X that's collecting dust. And I picked this up in November. It's a 9950X3D. It's for the CPU and a 5090 GPU. So it can handle, you know, everything at once, streaming and gaming. It's a monster rig. I really love it. It's one of the best investments I've ever had. You know. I don't have anything against consoles, obviously, being a console player. So I've never been one of the, you know, one of the fanboys, whether it's Ford or Chevy or Xbox or PlayStation or, you know, that's not a thing for me. If you like something and you enjoy it, then do it. Doesn't matter what anybody else says. They might think you're crazy. Oh, you spent how much on what? What does it matter to you? You know, if you enjoy it, or what does it matter to them? It's crazy. It's crazy how much control people try to put into your life. Or they want to mock you for something that you think, or just like whatever. Okay.
Enjoy the world. System check.
Alright.
You are clear to launch.
I enjoy going into third person to traverse in and out of the hangars.
Landing gear raised. Thank you, and please visit again.
Okay, so we'll go back into nav mode. You can see we're 138 kilometers away. We should be able to jump just a little bit closer so it shortens up the trip. Nope, too close. Now, does that mean I'm too close to the space station, or I'm too close to the planet? Now, let's see if we can cheat it and go to the map.
Shields are on. Shields are off.
Nope, I think we're just entirely too close. Okay, well, we can do it in nav mode. When she does get up to full speed, she's just over 1,000, I think, for her velocity. Almost 1,200. So you can reach terminal velocity by burning all your afterburner. On the right hand side you'll see the meter growing, that's your afterburner. And then on the left is your speed with your maximums. So as you can see, there is, you know, realized sun and clouds and mountains and things. No load screens, no, as we're coming down into atmosphere. The physics in the game is fantastic. Based on the size of the planet and its rotation, determine the length of its day, whether you're on the, the dark side or the sunny side. It affects temperature. All those things come into play. Precipitation. Break right through the clouds. Oh my god, I blacked out. No way. I came in too hot. Woo! That's it. That is a thing, by the way. That is the first time I've ever had that happen. So the G-forces are actualized in this game also. So luckily I passed out, but I had, corrected the ship and slowed it down to give me enough time to come back to. That was scary. I thought I was going to wreck my ship on my first video. You guys would be like, oh, this guy's an idiot. I mean, I probably still am, but... Okay. Alright. Give me a bay. It's probably going to be in the
Here we go.
upper hand
Got a spot
side.
all for you.
Really, all the way over there. They don't try and time me out. They do give you a limited amount of time to park your vehicle also, by the way. All these are physicalized hangars, so there are other people that wait in queue. If you are, if you are taking up a hangar, you don't store your ship, well, you're just kind of creating a whole mess for everybody else. Gentle.
Engines are off. Landing gear
Great.
deployed.
Your vehicle should be all set.
I don't think I deployed the landing gear properly. I thought it was down. No engines. Let's turn her off. Load that gear out. Power plant failure. Ooh, good thing I landed. Holy cow, good thing. I'll repair that, everything, all that stuff off stream. I enjoy the cargo loops because they're very relaxing. A lot of times I get done with work from the day. Everything is done. Dog's on the couch sleeping. I got a little bit of time, an hour, maybe two. Go earn some money. From this alone, I'll probably earn, around 50,000 credits. I forgot to really look and see, but I'm just slowly amassing money. That's what allowed me to buy the Atlas Geo mining machine that I'll use to start playing that game loop. And there's two types of mining. You can do asteroid mining, or you can do planet-side mining. So I'm going to dabble in the planet side, obviously, because I don't have obviously a spaceship that has the capability to do asteroid mining or deep space mining. But the controls should be the same, obviously, for heating up the rock and withdrawing the elements from it, storing them, bringing them to the refinery, getting paid, or using them for part of the crafting system. If I want to craft a weapon or armor or something like that. Okay, that is all of it. Close up the old girl. Okay, and once you've placed your cargo inside the freight elevator, you go into the freight manager, just like to withdraw it. So we send it down. Contract order, confirm. There she goes. Objective complete. And our payout is... $50,250 credits. Excellent. Alright, I'm going to go put this girl away. That's just a beautiful paint scheme with the red and blue. Ship.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retreat. Your vehicle has been moved to our storage. Please visit us again. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, girl. And that was one of the many different gameplay loops. That was the cargo loop. So, if you bring up your Mobi-Glass and you go to contracts, I'll just give you a quick skim of the types of things that you can do in the game. Well, first you have, your collections, which are for doing Wicklow, which I haven't really looked at, but you have to collect certain items and he'll give you like premium guns or premium ships, and they can be quite long too, especially to get let's say a capital ship, or I think it's the Idris, I believe it is. And then you have your priority missions, which are like it's almost like the seasonal content of where you'll be doing various missions to, gain limited time items, whether it be a helmet or a gun, or I think right now it is a healing gun. And then you have your standard hauling based off of that. Mercenary missions are for, going after PvE targets of various types. And then you have PvP. And then interstellar would be, obviously hauling, but it would be, going to one of the different systems like Pyro. Investigations. Salvage is where, you'll break down ships that are broken down in space and, take their materials and then sell their materials or use their materials. And deliveries. And then finally bounty hunter, where, if you have a crime stat in the game and there's a bounty that goes onto your head. So, you can look at all the characters that are in the game that are actual players that have bounties on them, and you hunt them down and you get paid on that. It's kind of the self-correction for the overly sweaty people. It's just a way to keep everything moving nice and fluidly. This game it's a different type of game. It is not, the sweat type game. Are there people in here that are? I'm sure there are, but with that self balance of a bounty system and a prison system, because once you're caught as a bounty, you go into prison and you're timed out for a couple hours. You can't play the game. You can go to the mining section and work to try and get out on work release, and that'll shorten your sentence. But that's a way to deter people from just constantly being aggro. All right, let's exit the game here. We'll quit the game, and that'll bring us back into the RSI launcher. And I can just, this is where you will first come when you download the launcher to be able to get the game, and it'll be here for you, and you have your different, you can either launch the game or you can launch a PvP specific events. It's like an arena commander, and let me show you where you'd be able to shop and buy games. Pledge store. So this would be where you would purchase items, ships, gear, add-ons, all this stuff. I mean, you can see some of this. This is the shop. The ship that I bought. To me, it's worth it. Um, with lifetime insurance, it fits everything that I need. I enjoy the game. I know I'm going to be playing it for a long time, but if we just go into the ships here, and you'll be able to see, there's $60, $65. There's the Apollo, which looks very similar to my ship. The Asgard, that's an absolutely beautiful ship. And, once again, even though it says $350, you can still use in-game credits. It's all purchasable using in-game money. This was actually the thing that I bought last night that I'm going to use for my mining. So they have different variants of it. Some are, tactical combat. Some are for mining. But if I were to recommend a ship to you, this would be the one for $60. And that will give you the ability to, hold the game license and play the game. And it's got good combat skills, a little bit of cargo area to get you up and running so you can start enjoying some of the game loops. But if you want something, this does not have a habitat as far as, it does have a bed for bed logging, but it does not have like a seating area and things like that. So if you wanted a ship that is of the similar size, it's going to be the Intrepid. This is also a fantastic ship right here, Cutlass Black. this is widely regarded as the best starter ship in the game once you're once you're familiar with the game, and say you wanted to melt down your $60 ship, and then you could just give them 50 and get that, and you'll have this forever guaranteed. You don't have to worry about losing it. Maybe it's on page 3. Yep, there it is, right there, the Intrepid. So another $5 from what the Avenger Titan is to 65. And again, this is less than your current AAA title games, and the content that you have in this game is by far larger than any of those, without a doubt. I mean, people spend $300-400 on a single character in Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, or they buy skins in Fortnite, or they do things. So to me, this isn't really a factor. You're going to get the game license and this ship, or any one of the ships you choose. I mean, but I would suggest starting small to ensure that you enjoy the game, and then you could be off to the races and ready to go. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I just want to say thank you to everybody that has hung out, watched the video. Maybe you're just chilling out. Maybe you want to, get a small look at the game. Maybe it's on in the background. That's what I do a lot of times. I just put on a content creator's video while I'm, throwing the ball around the house, or cooking dinner, or doing what I need to be, need to get done. So again, thank you. And also a big thank you to, every content creator that is playing this game and has stuck through this game, because its ability to be here for me to discover it and play it, when a lot of people have no idea what this game is. They really don't. The society's so quick to jump onto catchphrases and throw them around, or it's meanwhile they haven't experienced it for themselves. So I would strongly suggest, if you enjoy Starfield, or you're looking for a good space MMO that isn't like a tab target like a WoW or a Throne and Liberty, and you want actual action, actual gunplay and flight and things like that, this was exactly what I wanted. So all right, guys, that's going to be it. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see some more content, and I will see you guys soon.